Hollywood, California, home of a religious order which keeps making headlines.
The Immaculate Heart College was alive with highly trained, ambitious women.
These ladies were kick-ass and kind of subversive.
There was a big peace march, and the nuns in the school were marching with us.
If you really believe something is wrong, put your body on the line.
Good Catholics were not sending their daughters to Immaculate Heart because they felt it was a little dangerous.
We certainly brought criticism from the cardinal.
That cardinal was not going to put up with those uppity women.
Cardinal Immaculate was very powerful in those days.
He was the boss.
Immaculate Heart Sisters drifted away from authority, and that was really the big problem.
They thought it was blasphemous. I think he viewed nuns as coolie labor for his schools.
Sisters complained about the conditions of their jobs.
The cardinal started censoring the faculty.
There were legions of young nuns where all they felt was defeat. We said, we have to stand up and say, this is what we will do.
Clearly, we were in a boat that needed desperately to be rocked.
The Immaculate Heart Sisters taught me you must follow your conscience, even if it goes against what the Pope himself has to say.
There's a sense in which we've always been in trouble.
It was a marvelous statement of women.
We did what we thought was right. We did it because we thought it was just.
I really love this documentary, and your step-grandmother attended the school and you heard a lot of stories growing up. Was that one of the major reasons why you wanted to be a collaborator on this project? Because this story, which is, I think, continues to evolve, is something that's very important for this time, and as well as a reflection of the past on what we should remember,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think as any interesting project has, there are several veins that brought this creature to life. I mean, I am looking always for projects in movies and television, and mainly because I live in Hollywood, and also we have a 10-year-old daughter, so I can't go on tour for 2 months anymore. So I was I was in the market. Searching for interesting stuff, and then this project came around, and suddenly all these other aspects arose. Mainly that I remember hearing stories about these nuns growing up, and then also for instance, I drive to Silver Lake every day, and I pretty much pass that convent every day. So I also there's a proximity thing as well. So yeah, all of the elements conspired, and here we are today with the finished product.
Speaking of the finished product, just your overall thoughts on the documentary. How pleased were you with the way it came together? Because it's just simply fantastic.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, what I especially like is that it's a documentary that really challenges the viewer to go out and be of service to the community. It's very I mean, on one hand, it's a fascinating story. It's very entertaining. There's some really funny moments, very touching moments, but it's also a little bit of especially in this day and age with the homeless crisis, or environmental issues, or political corruptness. I mean, we are in a time when we have to kind of hit the streets and make and be aware of what's going on, and care more about the people around us. And so it has a purpose, which I really like.
Speaking of having a purpose, I don't know if this is just an obvious question, but I've been a fan of yours for a long time, as well as McGarrigles, and I'm just wondering, you look at the songwriting of something like Saratoga's Summer Song, to Heart Like a Wheel, to Talk to Me of Mendocino. Just wondering, you said in an interview that this, especially with what we've all been through, this is a really great time from introspection.
Yes.
And I feel that you've never had that problem as an artist, and does part of that credit goes to like your mother and your aunt, or maybe is that just two different disciplines that you just You know, I'm just wondering.
No. I've always been very introspective as well, and my mother was very introspective. My father a little more of an extrovert, uh, but nonetheless, he can also, you know, recoil into his inner self as well. But what's funny is that I think that this time, the COVID time that we're, you know, pretty much still in, but is thankfully less intense now. That was a very, how can I say this? It kind of matched, I think more my ethos than you know, everyday life. I mean, it was I found it, except for the you know, the dying bit, and the, you know, the collapse of the economy and all of that. I did find that it was, in the end, sort of it really mirrored a lot of what I felt, which was, you know, this need to stop and to, you know, observe and to, you know, also, you know, take in the world a little bit, you know.
How are you able to just manage everything that you, it seems just you have so many things on the fire, on the pot.
I know, I have a lot. I don't
live
know.
live album, the European tour, you had the
Yeah.
different genre of music. What is it, just your curiosity and your passion just keeps you going without being narrow?
Well, you know, I remember hearing many years ago that, you know, there's a theory that, you know, Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, who's, you know, one of the most prolific composers that ever lived, there's a theory that he only wrote music 1 hour a day, and that he had, and you know, understandable. I mean, he had 27 children, and so I mean, I'm sure the wife did much of the caretaking. But anyways, I don't think it's about how much you work. I think it's about how intensely you work. I certainly do more than an hour a day, but it is, it's all about focus. And look, at this point, I need that focus to keep my life in order. So I think work has become for me a little bit of a slight crutch, actually, in terms of just, you know, finding a reason to be alive. And it's not a bad one. It's not a bad one. Music.
With a lot of your enthusiasts who actually listen to your albums, each of your albums are very singular, and the listener can really immerse themselves, not just in the music, but in the research behind the music. And I'm just, you always seem to be so many steps ahead of the game. And this is might be a ridiculous question. We're in the early days, but wondering about, you know, musicians have been going to, you know, NFTs as far as crypto goes, down the road as far as artist rights and all that stuff. Is that something maybe down the road you might be researching as part of your whole?
Well, you know, I am so far behind in that respect, in terms of, you know, the financials and the management thing. I mean, I've never been good at that. I will say though that I have, you know, there are people in my life and in my business who I have been in contact with who are seeing this whole new setup, that I very much would, even though I don't know if I'll ever quite understand it, I would very much like to be a part of, because, you know, the old system's definitely dead.
Couple final questions. Just when singer-songwriters come up to you and ask you about how to be vulnerable, like something like Only People That Love from Unfollow the Rules, it's just so unvarnished. It's just so, it's really honest. And how do people get there when they ask you that question? What kind of advice do you give? It's just,
well, Samuel Coleridge said, you know, what comes from the heart goes to the heart. So that's important. And the other thing is truth. I mean, I do feel this, you know, there needs to be truth in many levels, and in many aspects of society has to be fought for. And that, whether that's politics or music, and I do still strongly believe that if you stick with it, it will serve you in the end. So yeah, sincerity and truth.
My final question to you is, you know, I usually ask filmmakers and singer-songwriters to name one of their all-time favorite movies, but just wondering specifically for you, do you have a favorite? Since I love Judy at Carnegie, do you have a fated Judy Garland movie, and what makes it so special for you? Yeah, just.
Oh God, yeah, no, there's so many great ones. You know, I had never seen the Harvey Girls before, and it was really amazing, and I think I like it the most right now because I hadn't, you know, it was like discovering a treasure trove. So I'm a big fan of the Harvey Girls at the moment.
Rufus, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.